Hi, everybody. I'm Mel Doerr, the Aloha shirt psychic. Behind me, you'll see my mess because I'm getting ready to go to Africa in a month. Yay. And we're going to Uganda to see the mountain gorillas. I think there's 16 or 17 of us going, so I'm excited. My great niece is joining us. Anyway, and also infomercial, I still have openings on my Rhine River tour for September the 6th of 2024. So either email me or call my office, 847-590-5411, and we'll set you up. One category is sold out, but the rest is wide open. Well, not wide open, but it's limited. So if you book the tour, it's a $400 deposit. By May 31st of this year, you get free airfare from anywhere within the continental United States. So infomercial done. I am so glad to have Aiden. Yay. Dun, 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 dun.
Hi, it's nice to be back.
You got your braces off?
I did. I'm very self-conscious about it, but I'll deal with it.
And you've got a birthday coming up.
I do on May 2nd. I don't know when this is gonna be posted, but my birthday's on May 2nd. I might do something like a live stream. So
Is
make
that
sure you be
Taurus?
there. I'm a Taurus.
Well, we'll do early happy birthday.
Aw, thank you.
Okay, so Aiden, he hasn't been doing a lot on YouTube because he's in college and he's got finals coming up. And Aiden helps me manage my YouTube. Um, and so does a great job. Thank you, Aiden, and my StreamYard when I go absolutely bonkers because I don't know how to do it. He's gonna give
Of
me
course.
a tutorial.
Yeah, I love being able to help. Um, and yeah, I haven't been posting much on YouTube, but that's going to change this summer because I'm going to be bored and I'm not going to have anything to do. So, of course, I have to, you know, focus on my creativity to get me through the summer. So, I'll be posting a lot on YouTube. I do a lot of like little short videos on different topics, and they're really fun for me. And I love going live. I
But
have this series.
I would also make them full length. And here's if you go live, it affects the algorithm. So sometimes you want to do pre-recorded like we're doing right now because it helps with the monetization.
Yeah. I also have a
I
series.
know.
I have a series called Aiden and the Expert, which I invite like an expert in whatever fields of like psychic stuff they're in. So I've had a lot of mediums on, a lot of past life regression people on, just a lot of fun experts in whatever field of psychic stuff they're in. So I might bring that back for this summer and maybe I can have a Mel on
Mel will be honored.
there.
Okay. So to get a hold of Aiden, you can email him Aiden, Aiden, Inc., INC, Aiden, Aiden, the number two at gmail.com. Once again, that's Aiden, INC, Inc., Aiden, Inc., the number two at gmail.com. And go to his channel, thumbs up, subscribe, and it's Aiden Reads Tarot. So, all right. uh,
Yeah.
so Aiden, so we're going to do this once a month, hopefully sooner. I mean, hopefully more, but each month we will have a theme for the month. We didn't do April because it got just crazy, but so we're doing May right now, even though it's still April. So tonight's theme is justice because it seems, as you say, Aiden, apropos for what's going on. All right.
Yeah.
Um, so we've got questions, and speaking of justice, um, I just read that Sid Miller, and this is all for entertainment purposes only, the department, he's a Texas agricultural commissioner, and he ordered employees to comply with a new mandate and dress code. And that dress code says that the employee must, grab this one, must dress in a manner consistent with their biological gender. Uh, now they're picking on abortion, they're picking on LGBTQ. So I ask, and Aiden, maybe you can put some input. I want you to put your input on this too. But my guides told me that it's very probably violation of federal law, and that employers can't discriminate based on one's sexual orientation or gender identity. And so if it goes to the Supreme Court, ooh, it's iffy, but I still think I don't think they can change the law. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're gonna, if it goes to the Supreme Court, I think they're gonna pass it. Um,
They'll pay us,
because
they'll pay us overturning the Texas thing or,
yes, yeah, yes.
okay.
Um, I think it's so crazy that by not adhering to rules made by, someone that doesn't understand, you know,
You mean by old white men?
that's I was trying to say that, but in a nice way, because one day I'll be there. But
You've got a long life ahead of you. So when you become an old white man, you'll remember these days and not let this kind of stuff happen, because these people want to take us back 60 years. And for a while, it might look like they're winning the battle, but they won't win the
yeah,
war. They won't succeed ultimately. But
they're
go,
living in the past, and still dealing with those, like, you know, old Christian values. And it's so sad that you have to adhere to someone else's rules for the sake of not making them feel uncomfortable. So it's all about not making these powerful people feel uncomfortable with abortion. You can't have an abortion, or makes them feel uncomfortable. It's all about following the laws, and you can go to jail for making someone uncomfortable. And I think that's insane.
I totally agree. Your guides speak. Um, you know, it's funny. Some of those states, like they talk about right to life, and the whole abortion issue, but yet they do nothing about gun control. Nothing. So it's okay. It's not okay, but to them, they talk about right to life. And if they're really into right to life, what about our kids that are getting murdered in schools? What about the people that are getting murdered due to mass shootings in grocery stores, movie theaters, churches? It's so they can't really talk about right to life.
They care more about the unborn baby than the already born baby.
I just think they're pandering to the ultra right wing Christian nationalist, and it's that small minority telling the rest of us what to do, and I call it the American apartheid. Um, but
Yeah, it's like sickening. It's gross.
it just gets crazier and crazier.
Yeah.
I mean, the gun violence in this country alone has become a national health crisis. And I think at some point, President Biden or somebody is going to say, the president, I think, can make certain rulings during a national health crisis. It's become epidemic gun violence. And I see emergency actions being taken to at least try to curb some of that.
Yeah, as a young person who is in school, who has been in school for the past 20 years. Oh, wow, that's a long time. Why did we go to school for that long? Um, I, you know, I've dealt with the fear of having someone come to my classroom with a gun. I've dealt with it. When I was in middle school, it was a gun was found in someone's locker. Um, so whenever I have this tendency, I sit like right near the exit when I go to class, because I don't know what's going to happen, especially in Texas. It is insane how far the laws would stretch for these perpetrators in Texas. And even after the shooting in Uvalde, I don't think anything's changed with how the governor treats these gun laws. And for me as a student, especially, you know, someone that's grown up in public school from middle school all the way to high school without any protection, without metal detectors. People always say, "Oh, we should have security guards with guns." I'm like, you think adding more guns to the mix will help with that? Like, we're already dealing with racism in schools right now. Imagine if that security officer was racist and
Or
accidentally shoots
crazy.
someone. Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't be giving guns to anybody. Um,
Well,
it's
that
just
argument, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun is absolutely ludicrous. You know, yeah, police officers could stop them, but I mean, let's say, and their thing is armed teachers. Well, what if some teachers cray cray and start shooting up everything? But when somebody has an assault weapon and they come in and they open fire, a good guy with a gun might not be able to stop that. It takes, that shooting in Tennessee, and most of them, it takes a whole group of police officers to get the perpetrator. So their argument doesn't hold water.
and it's insane because they're coming from this viewpoint of we should take action when it happens. We shouldn't take action before it happens. And, I think that's most of the
It is, it's
democratic
not,
liberal mindset where we should take action before something bad happens.
yes, that's true. Because here's the deal, taking action after it happens, there's no action after it happens. That's number one. Okay. And number two, the whole idea of a good guy with the gun stops a bad guy with the gun's not working, because these mass shootings are just getting to be, it's horrible to say, but commonplace, and it's just not acceptable. So I see
Yeah.
legislation at some point banning assault weapons and, doing thorough background checks, and I see federal law and
Yeah.
which the states will have to comply.
I see the number 4. So in about 4 years, what do you think?
I'm thinking within 3 to 4 years as well. When, when at least we get the Senate and we keep the Senate and get the House back. I remember going to school 60 years ago and I was bullied back late 60s, early 70s. I was called sissy, queer, all those horrible things. I was gay, but I wasn't out. I thought I was the only one back then. But you might get beat up on, but nobody brought a gun to school. Maybe a pocket knife, but everybody carried a pocket knife except for me. But you never would even think about getting shot in school. Never. I mean, it's just so, some of these people want to take us back 60 or 70 years, but they're not addressing the issues that are current. School shootings, mass murders. It's like, oh my God.
They're
It,
trying to fix issues that we had 50 years ago, and we're there's new issues that we need to fix.
correct. That's right. So, a friend of mine, her son was at a university here whose name I won't mention, but a shooter came into a lecture hall and shot the professor and just started shooting and had numerous weapons. And when the shooter reloaded, my friend's son was running out of the lecture hall and he got shot in the neck and in the shoulder. But his friend behind him, who was running out, got shot and was killed. I think 6 or 7 people were killed. So it's just really sad that many of us know somebody who has been the victim of gun violence, and it's just not acceptable anymore.
And I hear statistics all the time that say every day of this year, there's been a mass shooting. So 3 or more people have, passed away from guns. And I look at other countries like New Zealand and the countries in Europe, and they're having so little gun safety issues that it's astounding to me that government, especially Republicans, don't want to fix this.
I think some Republicans do, but it's that small group of MAGA, ultra right wing Christian nationalists that, in the NRA, of course, for entertainment purposes only. But I see the NRA losing a lot of their power too. I mean,
It all
it's an abomination when I see somebody standing up and say, my 2-year-old grandkid owns a shotgun and owns a this. I mean, what are you teaching your kids?
Yeah, it all boils down to religion and money.
You don't need an assault rifle to hunt. There will be nothing left of what you shoot. I grew up in Kentucky, and there was guns in the house, but they didn't have any bullets in them. They were put up, and we were told never to touch the gun because my father liked to hunt. And I don't have a problem. Well, I don't like killing, but if somebody wants to hunt, okay, great. but you don't need an assault weapon for that.
Definitely. So I think we should ban assault weapons. I think we should, make people that want guns have like a thorough background check, have a qualified company to do that background check. Training, like months of gun handling training, supervision with the gun, mental health training, mental health, you know, tests to make sure that they have good mental health in order to hold a gun. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we should ban all guns because, you know, I know how I know some women that are in Texas right now, and if they try to go in a parking lot at night, like they have pepper spray and stuff like that, and women that live alone in a house, it can be scary for them too. So definitely I'm a fan for, just getting like help and support with um, getting safer gun laws.
I totally agree. And my guides say that that will happen. It's just sad that how many more people have to die, since needlessly. So,
Yeah,
they talk about right to life, but they don't concern themselves with right to
it's
life.
crazy.
We wouldn't even be having this conversation. Okay, Butterfly Whisperer. I like that. Says, "Hi, Mel and Aiden. What will be the most shocking news political surprises over the next 12 months?" Well, we've had a few shockers that, Tucker Carlson left Fox, and they say the MAGA people are fuming over it. And I see more lawsuits being brought against them, and I think those lawsuits will win. And I see more people leaving Fox. I see two female people leaving Fox, whose names I won't mention, but I see them gone. How about you? What do you think, Aiden? Um,
I think that even in the next couple years, Fox is going to take a more is going to try to take a more moderate stance on things. So definitely they're trying to move from the right and just a little bit more to the left because that's how you get your viewers. If you try to promote content that is pure and true and that people from both sides of the spectrum can agree on, you'll find more people watching and trying to um find out why people on the other side think this and why people on the other side think this. So but I do think they're gonna try leaning more into anti-Trump stuff, if that makes sense.
well, I think, a lot of the things what happens on some supposed news networks isn't even news. It's really yellow journalism. And it's almost like they have a license to lie. And I think that this whole case with Dominion and other lawsuits coming, my guides are telling me, is saying, just, if you're going to report the news, do it objectively and honestly. It's not carte blanche to have you report misinformation. They do that in totalitarian countries, not democracy ones. So, um,
Definitely.
but there's a
Definitely.
lot of shocking news coming, I think, because I see, um, I heard that the Proud Boys leaders under indictment, they blame Trump for leading them to do it. So I'm sure that Jack Smith is looking into that. I see indictments coming out of Georgia against Trump and a lot of people around him. I mean, there's some shocking things that are going to happen, in the House with that MAGA small group. And I'm just nervous that they're going to let us default on our debt ceiling, but if they do, it's going to look really bad for them. So I see a lot, but I do see justice, and this month with the indictments I see and things like that. It's the start of saying that just because you might hold power doesn't mean you're above the law, and I see justice winning. What do you think?
I totally agree with that. Another big thing that I think is going to come up in the next 12 months is Donald Trump leaving the United States. I don't think he'll ever touch a jail cell, which is, sad. But people are saying that he's supposed to leave the United States on May 3rd. Um, you don't see it?
He's already surrendered his passport. He can't.
So what do you think is going to happen with Trump?
Well, they're going to try to drag it out and drag it out and drag it out to around the clock, thinking that if they get maybe a Republican president, that Trump will be pardoned. But they can pardon him on the federal thing, but not in the states. That's why Jim Jordan is trying so hard to put the screws on Bragg, but it's not working. And Bragg will win. Trump's going to be in deep trouble there, and also in Georgia. And I see federal indictments as well. This whole Jack Smith special investigator, there's going to be a lot overturned. And I kind of think what they're doing to Hunter Biden is a witch hunt to get even because of the investigations that are going on against Trump. I don't really see, I don't know what's going to happen with Hunter Biden, but I, I don't think it's going to be as bad as what everybody's thinking. I mean, if he broke the law, then then you gotta pay the piper. But Trump is not above the law either, nor are the Jim Jordans or the Marjorie Taylor Greenes or any of those people. So there's going to be shocking revelations, I think, within the next few months coming out about them too. So, but I don't see Trump leaving the country. I don't think he can. I think I don't know if they might have taken his passport. I don't know.
Do you think that with Trump, do you think someone would let him out of the country that's on his side? Like someone that is all Trump supporting? Do you think they would risk their job and safety
Well,
to let
then
him travel?
that's aiding and abetting, and then they could go to jail. And the other thing is the country where he's going to go. All right. Well, that country let him in. So it would have to be almost be a country that would kind of be hostile to the US, like Russia. But who's going to let him in?
It might just be a last ditch effort, so we'll have to see what happens. I
I
think
hope to see if his passport was revoked.
yeah, hopefully.
Typically, I know federally, when you're under a federal indictment, the first thing they do is have you surrender your passport.
He probably has a bunch of fake passports and IDs to
The
help
thing
him.
with that is everybody knows who he is. So
Well, that's why there's disguises. I do think that I saw Flash. I think Trump has learned to use disguises in the past ever since his presidency. I think he tries to disguise himself if and when he goes out in public.
I don't know. I still don't see him leaving the country.
No.
Uh, and a lot of the countries would have extradition. He's going to have to stay. And, uh, he might think if he's running for president that he could leave the country, but I don't think so. There's a lot of legal precedents coming in this case. And so let's see how it plays out. I don't even think the Supreme Court wants to touch it. I also see justice coming to Clarence Thomas. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I read on him on my past live stream I just did. I don't see I don't think he's a good man. I don't think his viewpoint comes from a genuine kind wanting to help people place.
Clarence
And
Thomas.
I do see him um maybe being embarrassed, like forced to, like he feels like he's forced to leave. And I don't know if that's like a public forced to leave, or if it's internal. He feels like he has to leave, or he's gonna end up this in the same place Trump does.
Oh, I think he's going to be more forced to leave, is what I think. He might use like illness as an excuse, but I also see justice coming to his wife, Jenny. Just because he's on the Supreme Court doesn't mean he's above the law either.
Yeah.
And what my guides show me is that there's going to be legislation passed at some point where the Supreme Court justices have a set of rules and regulations they must go by. And if they break those, then ooh, so no more dark money, no more accepting money from donors to get laws passed that these donors want passed. It's going to, in other words, they'll pass legislation to keep these mega donors from buying the court, if you will.
Yeah, I totally agree. So I think we can root for the takedown of Trump, um, Clarence Thomas, his wife. Obviously, Tucker Carlson is not doing well. And I think we have a question even about Tucker Carlson. Someone said, where will Tucker Carlson end up now that he has parted ways with Fox? And was it a mutual parting of ways as stated?
No, he got fired. And I think other people will be leaving that network. I see huge financial problems coming for Fox. And either I don't know what they'll do with it, maybe sell it, I don't know. But there's huge financial issues coming with that. That's what my guides show me, that entertainment purposes only.
Yeah. When I thought about Fox and Tucker Carlson, I just saw him clinging to the floor with his nails dug into the floor and them having to pull him out. So I think there was definitely some arguing, some yelling when he found this out. Yeah, I think he was fired. But you know what? I think he's gonna try to reclaim his throne or whatever that means. I
That
think
won't
he's gonna
work.
try. I think, yeah, I agree. I think he's gonna try to either run for president, which he's not gonna get far. And number two, I think he might try to either start his own news channel or start his own like podcast where he talks about news. And I don't see that doing
Well,
successfully.
but if he goes on and lies about it, then he should have learned that you can't do that, because then they could sue him for everything he's got.
Yeah,
So
and he doesn't have a big backing of billions of dollars by Fox anymore. So it'd be easy for him to sue him.
um I saw a thing about him years ago, and it's like, um he was a libertarian back then, and then they were talking about how he morphed into what he is now, and just to see how almost corrupt it became is really sad. But behind the scenes, you know I've got a funny feeling Trump is going to go after him too, because um Trump is seething about what those text messages or messages that Carlson said off camera about Donald Trump. I think Carlson said he couldn't stand him. Whatever it was very almost anti-Trump. But then but then a few days later, you know, coming on a national television show and saying that just the opposite.
Yeah, it feels like we're in a bad musical or whatever. That's what it feels. It's been feeling like for the past 3 years. It feels like we're living a very satirical lifeline with, people doing things for money and turning like bad, like a bad apple.
They
So
pretty much said that we need the money or the ratings. I forget, I'm misquoting him, but it's pretty obvious. So
yeah,
okay. Linda Walker asks, hi Mel and Aiden. Thank you for I got the hiccups. I'm sorry. Thank you for sharing your special gifts with us. Will the war in Ukraine end this month? No. I hear no. I see no
I
clue. It could go on for another year or two.
yeah, it's not gonna end until, well, it's not gonna start to end until the president passes or whatever, Vladimir passes. It's not going to start to end until that happens. And then once that happens, you'll see like a downward fall. Um,
And then people are asking about a Russian involvement with Sudan, and were they like under the table helping with this civil war? And I hear the answer is yes.
I see them, when this happened with Ukraine and the backlash from the whole world, I see them going and getting help and maintaining friendships with countries that are not allies to United States. I see them like going behind the world's back and being like, hey, this isn't going well for us right now. Are you going to help us or are you going to be an enemy? So I see that happen. That happened.
Well, my guides tell me that Putin will have to pay his karma. And my guides tell me, speaking of justice, that Putin, that justice, to use Glenn Cursor, justice will be served. Is that what he says? When it comes to Putin, I see Putin gone. By hook or by crook, he'll be gone. and I maybe after him, there's some kind of person that is less than savory that might be in charge in Russia for a while, but then ultimately I see somebody coming along who will take them on a democratic path again. So,
Yeah. You
what,
know, one of my favorite songs right now is Karma by Taylor Swift. And you know, if you know me, you know I'm a big Swiftie. I love that song. It's all about getting good karma for yourself and watching your enemies have to deal with their bad karma. And I think a lot of people could relate to that song when they found out that Trump was being indicted. So I definitely go listen to that song. It's really good.
I will. Well, I tend to think that justice is going to start happening for the people who have been downtrodden, like our African American friends, our Muslim friends here, our Latino friends here, our LGBTQ, our women. You know, women's rights are really women rights are really under fire right now, and so you know, I see America at some point becoming more just. And I think it's things brought to justice this month and the following month and the following month. And so um I think people like those MAGA ultra right-wing Christian nationalists want the chaos, they want the anarchy, because then they can say we want to fix it. But I see justice coming with civil rights, you know. Speaking of such, Harry Belafonte, you probably don't remember Harry Belafonte, but he was a singer and he was a huge civil rights activist. He was African American and he died today at 96. So he'll be sorely missed. But my guides tell me that he'll be working on civil rights issues and equality issues from the other side. So
That's sad. I hope his family is doing okay. Yeah, I I do think in the next 10 years we're going from this masculine place that we've been in for such a long period of time to this more feminine place. So we're going out of the patriarchy into a matriarchy. And I think it's so important that we now put people who have been mistreated in the past at the forefront of our politics, of our entertainment. I think it's so important to support people that haven't been treated fairly. And I do think that in the next 10 years, like we're going to see even more of this matriarchal, whatever the word is, stance on a lot of things. So
I'll tell you who I see coming to justice too is Marjorie Taylor Greene, who she's misusing her power. Her wings will be clipped. You know, she might think she's flying high now, but then I see a symbol of a chicken kind of flopping and not getting anywhere. And so it's an insult to a chicken, actually.
yeah, I wouldn't eat a Marjorie Taylor Green sandwich. So
And
I
I'll
would
tell you
probably
who
like
else is,
get food poisoning.
I'll tell you who else is going to come to justice too is Ted Cruz. I see a lot within the next month coming out about him, and it ain't going to be pretty. So, okay. So the war in Ukraine, I'm sorry. It's going to go on for a while, I feel. Uh, it's kind of like what happened when the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, went into Afghanistan and they had to leave. I don't think it'll go on as long as that, but it's kind of like it's going to end up being like a Vietnam for Russia, and it's really draining the Russian economy already. So I don't know. The Ukrainians will not give up. They will continue to fight. And I think what McCarthy is trying to do is limit the amount of money we can send to Ukraine, but he will not win at that either. So Ukrainians will continue to fight because they have NATO on their side and they have all the European Union countries on their side pretty much. So it might take another year or two,
I totally agree. Yep.
which is really sad. All right, Kathy Holcomb says, "Hi, Mel and Aiden. Happy May. Happy May to you too. Thank you for sharing your gifts with us. My question deals with 45's finances. How will the current civil trial, E. Jean Carroll and Letitia James, and the New York civil trial impact 45's finances, including his wife and kids? I'm hoping that karma will make them have to sell everything, especially Mar-a-Lago, to pay for legal and civil damages." Well, but look at what Trump did. He raised that was a couple hundred million or whatever it was that he said was for one thing, and he used it for it was I forgot what it was for, but he used it for something that he didn't even wasn't supposed to be using it for. And so they're looking into that because that, and I see charges filed against him for mail fraud. And I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but that is fraudulent. And so um, I guess if you say you're raising money for something, you better make sure you give it to who you say you're going to give it to or use it for those purposes. So I do see, so he hasn't lost any of his own money yet. But I do see a lot of his assets being seized. So
Yeah,
that's going to be a
yeah.
big.
I see Mar-a-Lago being sold, whether that's I think the government is going to sell it or whoever gets it once it's not Trump's anymore. I think it's going to be sold to the highest bidder. But I drew the Queen of Cups card, and I definitely think that this is I think Letitia James with the trial. I think she's going to come out on top of it and really make a higher name for herself. I think she's going to just get more and more popular with um voters and social media and stuff like that. I think this is really a big case for her.
I don't think she's doing it though to foster votes. I think she's doing it because she wants justice.
Yeah, definitely that. But I do think this is good for her career too. I don't think she's doing it for her career. I think she's doing it, like you said, for the betterment of society.
I said a long time ago that Trump Tower in Chicago, there's these humongous letters that say Trump, and every time I go past it, I want to throw up. But I keep having this vision of those letters coming down, and I see them taking down the T and just maybe leaving up RUMP rump for like a day or two or whatever, and then taking that down. So I see his name taken off that building. And a lot of times I don't even think he owned those buildings. They just paid him to put his name on them. But
Yeah, ever since I started doing YouTube, I've always said I can't wait for the day where the name Trump isn't in our vocabulary. Definitely not forgetting the injustices that he's caused, but definitely not giving his name mention in day-to-day life. So
um
I'm excited for that to happen.
um all right, there's one here I don't want to go into because I have to be careful with that. Okay, Trevor Neal. Um, Scientists are starting to believe that there is a ninth planet in our solar system that revolves so slow we haven't been able to see it. Does that exist? I hear yes. Years ago they said there was 9 planets because they said Pluto was a planet. And then they said, well, no, it's not a planet, it's a planetoid. I guess, which is like the small. Is that like an Altoid? I guess it's like a small. You got a planet.
Yeah, a planet not big. It's a small planet, not like big enough to be able to classify as a planet.
Yeah, well, they just said about Pluto. But I do think that there is another planet in our solar system. So I say yes.
I definitely agree. I loved this question because um I saw it and I went to do a little research and I totally think that there is a ninth planet. Scientists have said that it it revolves so slowly around the sun that we haven't been able to see it. So it's probably hidden by other planets, and we can't really see on the other side of planets that are not close to us. So I do think that there is a ninth planet. I am excited for what they name it when they hopefully do discover it.
They should
Because
Aiden.
no, I'd be scared. I'd be like, "Are you talking about me or the planet?" Um, but yeah, they name all the planets after Roman gods. So I looked that up too. I was like, if I wanted to name another planet, what would I name it? And Cupid was a good Roman name. I liked Cupid.
Was Poseidon Roman or Greek? I don't
I
know.
think it's Poseidon's Greek.
Hmm. Um, Zeus, maybe. I don't know.
I
I
love space questions. It makes me so happy.
Me too. I love science. But actually they might bring Pluto back as a planet. So if they do that, then that means we have 10. planets because with the new planetoid, or the not planetoid, but the one that they think is there.
The Planet X, yeah.
I don't like Planet X. I think we should call it.
Yeah, it sounds scary. Sounds like a pirate planet, which is full of pirates. Planet X. Like a doomsday movie.
Isn't it? Doesn't it? I don't know what we can call it. Um,
Planet question mark.
I have to look up. I have to look up the Roman gods. All right. Oh, now I have not heard about this. This is a first, and Lynn asked this question. What will happen with Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch's ethics issue? And will previously decided cases need to be retired due to this revelation? What's the same thing that's going to happen to Clarence Thomas in ethics issues? So at some point, I see some of those cases retried. Absolutely.
I want to use my dowsing rods to see if I get an answer. I love using these. So
I don't know what happened with Gorsuch, but I'll look it up.
let's see.
Oh, I see.
Previously decided cases need to be retried due to this revelation. I get a big yes. I get a big yes.
Okay. You saw it here with Aiden and his dowsing rods. I love this name, Jitterbug Tutu. She has questions. I just love that name. I love to do the Jitterbug, actually. Okay. Hello, Auntie Mel and Aiden. Hi, Jitterbug. Long time no hear about Matt Gaetz. Any progress with the investigations and potential indictments? Do you see him out of office and in jail anytime soon? Thank you for these wonderful shows. I think behind the scenes, they're still investigating Matt Gaetz. I just think they're trying to get some credible witnesses. And they will. And I see Matt Gaetz out of office, absolutely. As well as Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jim Jordan and
Yeah. I think Matt Gaetz is actually one of the people I see serving time. I do, because you know what? I got the Nine of Cups reversed, and it's all about not being happy with the outcome of something. And I looked at the little guy on this tarot card, and look what he's wearing. It looks like he's wearing prison clothes, prison stripes.
it does, doesn't it? Oh,
So
there.
I do think that he might be looking at a little time he needs to serve.
All right. We've already touched on this one. Mary S says, hi, Mel and Aiden. What is going to be going on with Marjorie Taylor Greene? She says Marjorie Toilet Greene. Will she receive the accountability she so duly deserves? The answer to that is yes. And here again, that word justice, yes, flashed in my head. So what do you think, Aiden?
I don't think anybody will remember her in 50 years. I just don't think. I think she's trying really hard to get her name in the history books for being, you know, the the leader of the Republican Women Party, like a leader for Republican women. And I don't think she's even going to be known in the next 50 years. I don't
The
think.
history books is the biggest goof and racist ever.
Yeah, yeah. So good luck to her with her nightmares.
All right. Teacher Barbara says, hey, fellas, Satan is driving us Florida teachers into the ground. We are a right to work state. He's trying to dissolve our unions. Well, good luck with that. He can try, but if it goes to the Supreme Court in Florida, or if he does, they'll be brought back. Anyway, he offered a $3,000 bonus for taking a 55-hour civics class. She goes, it was really brainwashing. She says, I was dumb enough to take the class. And then is yanking it away. Sorry, folks. I offered you 3,000, but there's no more money, so now I'm not going to give it to you. Right? Do you see striking in the future? Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for being awesome. We are pretty much all in survival mode. 4 weeks till summer break before Memorial Day. So what do you think? She's got a lot of questions. I can't believe that. She goes, he offered a 3,000 bonus for taking a 55-hour civics uh class. In other words, or civics, whatever. And she says, brainwashing, I was dumb enough to do the work. So, and then is yanking it away. In other words, if you do this, you'll get 3K bonus. And then the people did it. And he says, no, I don't have any more money.
I think teachers are one of the most important jobs out there right now.
Amen. They should be the highest paid people on the planet.
Yeah. Dealing with crazy students, dealing with crazy parents, dealing with the threat of guns, dealing with low pay, dealing with the government coming after them for just doing their jobs, dealing with having to deal with freedom of speech in their classroom. There's a lot of different obstacles that they're going to have to get through. And the fact that Ron DeSantis is making this worse by breaking promises, by doing things that you would only think of in Marjorie Taylor Greene's nightmares. I do think that he I don't think he's gonna last. I don't see him being there in the next 4 years.
I
I
think,
think he's gonna be voted out by parents and teachers. I think teachers are gonna come together and get him out.
well, number one, he's taking on all these organizations that are very powerful, like the unions are very powerful. And my here again, my famous saying, it looks like he might win the battle, but he won't win the war. So he's going to have the unions against him, which is teachers union is huge. And he's also taken on Disney. And you know what? I've said on Linda's show, on my show, and I'll say it again, you don't mess with Mickey Mouse. So, you know, just like in Texas, when they tried to ban the abortion pill, you don't mess with big pharmacy, with big pharma. So, I mean, he's really ticking off everybody. So the teachers union, now, if they strike, he can't say, if you don't go back to work, I'm going to fire you, because that's illegal. You can't do that. But I mean, think about it. Teacher in Florida, you can't say gay. You can't have books like To Kill a Mockingbird or The Catcher in the Rye. Those were must readings when I was in school. Um, but yet they probably won't say anything about having the Bible there, would they? So I agree with you. I see just Satan gone. It now in Texas, I just heard that the Governor Abbott, the goof, uh, put something in place where now in Texas, the Ten Commandments have to be posted in every classroom, and that there has to be like Bible reading, or the kids can have X amount of time to read the Bible. You know, that when I went to school in the South, in the morning, the teacher would read the Bible, and then you did this and you prayed, but there was it was taken to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court says it's discriminatory, because what about the kids in the class who weren't Christian? There might have been Jewish kids or Muslim kids or whatever. And this whole Texas Bible thing is going to get taken to the Supreme Court, and my feeling is they're going to say, no, you can't discriminate.
Yeah, I think that's insane that they would even think about it. Unless it's like a private Christian school, they shouldn't be forced to put up like Bible quotes or anything like that. In fact, I think it should be optional to the teacher of what they put on their walls. Like they could put up Bible verses if they want. They can put up verses from any other religious text if they want. I think it should be up to the teacher. Obviously appropriate for students, but you know, I think it should be up to the teacher and up to the students what goes on their walls. And I don't think it should be down to some man sitting in his office 24/7.
It's a public school. What about the separation of church and state? All right. If somebody's religious and they need to go pray, okay, fine. We'll give you 10 or 15 minutes, and you can meditate, you can sit quiet, you can do what you need to do. But as far as, let the church run the church and let the school run the school, unless it's a religious school, that's different, unless it's a private parochial school. But in public schools, absolutely not. I agree. And my guides say ultimately they won't win, meaning the Bible commandment people.
Yeah. I I don't know if you know this, but in Texas, we have a Texas pledge. So in middle school and high school, we have a Texas flag, and we had to say, "I pledge allegiance to the United States of America," to that flag. But we also have another pledge: "I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas." So we had to say a pledge to Texas. And when I grew up in a private school for elementary school, and we had to say a pledge to the United States and to the Christian flag.
Well, but that was a parochial school.
Yeah, I just think it's so crazy that they make people stand up, and kids especially say pledge of allegiance to,
Well, I
you
believe in
know,
pledging allegiance to the flag of the United States.
yeah, but I
That's
don't know
it.
if we should have a Texas pledge to be allegiant to Texas. Like that to me is like, you're gonna live in Texas for the rest of your life. You cannot leave Texas, or like you're gonna have to stick to these Texan values. Which, why would you pledge allegiance to the Texas flag when Texas is a state that is trying to go over, like run over people's personal rights? So definitely, I don't. That's just something that popped in my mind. So I don't know if that has any correlation to what's going to happen in the future.
Say that it's going to be struck down. It'll go to the
Yeah,
Supreme Court and get struck down. Okay, Trevor Neal asks, what stopped us from going back to the moon in the last 50 years? Can't wait for the end of next year when we do it again. Well, money, it got expensive. And I think they were going to try to do the moon thing, maybe futuristically putting colonies there or thinking about going to Mars. And the space shuttle was, before the space shuttle, they had an idea called something called dinosaur. It was like an airplane rocket that would go into space and then it would come back and land. And they developed that, the space shuttle. But it was so expensive. The whole program was so expensive. And so the space shuttle was developed to actually build space stations in space, to let people camp out there to get to the moon, I think. And then it just got cost prohibitive. And so we forgot about science. But um, I'm glad they're doing it again at the end of next year. And I see a whole reawakening. But the space shuttle was built to also think about getting supplies to and from the moon and things like that. I not on the moon, but in outer space.
yeah. I see like this futuristic elevator that goes from from the Earth to whatever's up there. But you know what? The International Space Station is going to crash into the ocean in 2031.
It'll
It's
lose,
going to be retired.
it'll
So
lose,
we're gonna have to see what they replace it with.
lose its orbit. But it was pretty much money. But I remember when Russia put the first satellite in orbit, it was called Sputnik. And then they were way ahead of us. And then we put a communications satellite in orbit called Telstar. It didn't do much. And then, Russia had the first man in outer and to circle the Earth in outer space. I forgot who the cosmonaut was. I forget his name. But then along comes President Kennedy, and he says that they were going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade, which was in the 1960s. And even after his assassination, there was so much money put into the space program. And I think was it 67 or 68 when Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. And it was funny, this computer here is so much more powerful than the computers they used to put people on the moon. It was pretty interesting stuff.
I have a game. Okay, so we're gonna say which one we like better: Star Wars or Star Trek on the count of three. Ready?
Trek.
One, two, three. Star Trek.
Because Star Trek, I mean, look at the things it talked about and look at the things that are happening, like talking discs and talking computers. And back in those days, it was unheard of that a computer could talk, or the little flip up thing. And look what we got. The
Yeah,
tricorder.
I love Star Trek. I've just been catching up with all the new series out there. I think it holds such a more meaningful message than Star Wars. I think Star Wars is more for people who like the fighting, like the lightsaber duels and stuff like that. But every time I watch a episode or a movie of Star Trek, it's there's a deeper meaning always involved. And the ones I love the most is be kind to your neighbor, no matter if you don't if you don't understand them. Just be kind.
Right.
Like being kind to new life forms on another planet. Like we can take that and relate it to our, be kind to people in our neighborhood.
It was about inclusion.
Inclusion, yeah.
And it was the first television show where it was an interracial kiss when Captain Kirk kissed Lieutenant Uhura and she was black. Uh, and it was the first time it ever happened on television. There were a lot of firsts on that show and a lot of social comment. Watch it. And if you know what was going on in the 1960s, it's like, whoa. And it's we thought we'd put a lot of those social issues to bed, but here's these ultra white right-wing Christian nationalist MAGA people wanting to bring them back. It's like,
Definitely.
we cannot lose our voices.
Yeah. Oh yeah, back to the I always get off topic, but um I do see that we're gonna do land on the moon successfully next year. Maybe a little bumps in the road, but we're still gonna make it. I
I see the moon.
I
I see the moon colonized in the next 10 years because they're going to figure out they're going to use that as a way station to get to Mars.
Yeah, yeah. I got the reason that we didn't I agree with you. I think it's money that because we didn't land on the moon in the last 50 years. I got the Page of Pentacles um reversed. And uh I just think that they were a little bit financially irresponsible with some of the ways that they were dealing money, putting into this new rockets, like just burning rockets. Like they weren't doing these necessary safety precautions, like
Well,
probably in the past 50 years.
back then they had to because they had to do the test rockets and this and that and da 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 da. And things happen. You're talking about like the Challenger disasters and all of that. And I think, in the space shuttle, it was too expensive. But just like, we went to the moon, we proved we could do it. And then what was the purpose after that? We won the space race. But I
Yeah.
think I can see the moon being colonized. I don't know if I'd want to live on the moon though, because to go outside, you got to like put a spacesuit on. And it's like, can't go out, can't do this.
Yeah. I do think once we land on the moon next year, it's gonna like invigorate people. It's gonna make them all like, ready for space exploration. And I think that that should be a big part of government spending. I one thing I did agree with Trump is that he wanted the space force or whatever it's called. I not like a branch of government, but like more funding to space exploration. So that's one thing I did agree on with Trump. Controversial opinion. But I just love it. I think if we figure out how other planets have succeeded in, their life, we can figure out better ways to sustain Earth from all the pollution that humans are doing to
If
it.
provided that we don't pollute that place. So
Yeah.
anyway, we got time for one more. Okay. June's Tarot journey says, Mel and Aiden, who pray who paid Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh's $250,000 gambling debt days before his nomination to the court was announced? Could it have been the billionaire who has been giving all those travel and other perks to Justice Clarence Thomas? Will that information of who paid those gambling debts be revealed the next year or so? Ooh, thank you, Mel and Aiden. Namaste, June. I'm not going to say who did it, but Justice and Kavanaugh's going to get in trouble for that because I think they're supposed to disclose that stuff. And so, oh yeah, within the next month or two, that information will be made public.
I think this is what's going to take him down. And I see him being with Clarence Thomas, leaving the Supreme Court. And I do think that Amy Coney Barrett's going to leave somehow or another. I don't know if it's soon, but I do see Clarence Thomas and Brett Kavanaugh leaving the Supreme Court soon.
All right. I think we got through most of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Aiden, we got to do this more. We know we're going to do it once a month to give our monthly theme for the month. This month, justice. Okay, to get a hold of Aiden, Aiden, Inc., INC 2 at gmail.com, and go to Aiden's channel, Aiden Reads Tarot.
Yeah, thank you. And I love getting emails. Just like you can email me and just tell me how your day is going, just anything, and I'll respond. It's nice to hear from you guys. So, and I appreciate you having me on, Mel. It's so much fun. We're gonna have to do this on my channel once I get to posting more on there.
So we'll do next month. I've been saying to Aiden, we got to do this, and I forgot about it. But Aiden is the one that puts all the thumbnails you see on my community board and on StreamYard when we do that. Aiden is the person that does all that for me. So thanks, Aiden.
Yeah, it's fun. I love getting able to design all the cool little details, and I like making your channel look nice and tidy and perfect. So,
I get paranoid. Aiden, did you get my text? Aiden, I forgot about
y-
this. I forgot that.
and it's fine. I can deal with this. So I appreciate. I Mel puts a lot of time and effort and thinking and hope into his channel. So if you're subscribed to him, it's a very good choice to click that button.
Thank you. So tomorrow night, Kim Copeland, I'm going to be on her channel. I was going to do it last week, but I keep having these episodes of Vertigo. And then Thursday night, Kevin Chandler. So Aiden, I'll give you the information on that. And then Kevin Lewis and I are going to start doing regular shows. So and then Aiden and I'll do a couple times a month. And I'm sure, Aiden, if you study, you'll do magnificent on your finals. And happy birthday.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Um, bye everybody. Namaste and stay well.
Bye.